When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois. We are live on a Thursday. Back together again. Always feels good. Your hair looks very tall right now. I like it. It's good.
Yeah, it's in a growing out phase where it's almost long enough where I have to start putting it to the side. And plus, I don't know, I'm having some issues right now. But
Okay, now I think I didn't mean to go so far down the road on your hair issues.
Yeah.
brother. I'm glad to see you. That's all I'm trying to say. Just glad to see you.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I could
And
use a
we're
shave
here.
too. I'm not gonna lie, I could use a shave. I'm at that point.
Okay. Well,
you could use a shave.
you figure out your shave situation.
Can you just shave once so I can see it?
I have pictures. I can send you pictures. It's been a long time. But I can send you pictures. You want to see it now?
Yes.
You want to see it now?
Here's what I really want. I want you to shave it and then record your wife's reaction to when you walk in the room.
You want to hear a bunch of Spanish curse words? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. And then tell me what they say after.
Her get mad at me and up on
Your son's like, "What happened, Papi?"
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen. He's going to be like, "Papi, who are you? You're who? ¿Quién eres? I don't understand who you are." All right, we're here on a Thursday. We are here ahead of the U.S. men's national team playing a couple of games in this very important international window. I mean, I think it's fair to say that I would not be excited about this window, except for the fact that our new head coach is in charge. And Jared, early returns, early information coming out of campus. This is an intense camp. They are working out there. Does that make you happy to hear that?
I keep going back and forth when I hear the sound bites from players. Is it that the players' intensity is high because of the new coach, or Pochettino's expectations and the way he runs the camp is at a high level? I can't figure out which of the two is happening.
I think this is a couple of different things. One, that players are naturally going to want to put on the best show possible to impress the new boss. I mean, that's natural, right? You just when you've got somebody new who's now judging you and you're not sure what their standards are, what they're looking for, you're just going to go out and give everything you got. Yeah. So the intensity level from the players is naturally going to be high regardless of who's in charge. But I definitely think that Pochettino, I don't know if he's trying to send a message. I just think the dude was really, really pent up.
This is
in terms of coaching,
or this is just his default level, and that
it could be
higher
that. It
than
could
what
be
they're
that.
used to.
But the thing about that is he is a club coach who now is adjusting to the international game, and I think, well, I don't know that any of this is bad. I'm not saying it's bad. There definitely is this idea that he is adjusting, and maybe he doesn't quite have a lay of the land on how intense it should be. But I don't have a problem with it sort of sending a message. We talked about how it got pretty complacent under Greg Berhalter. That was everybody's complaint. And I don't know that I buy into this narrative that I'm seeing all over the internet from fans who are like, preach. I'm so glad he finally brought some intensity to the national, as if these guys didn't train hard ever in the past. I don't know that this is guaranteeing any success, but I don't have any problem with it either.
But what it does do is it lines up with the preconceived notion of Pochettino coming from the Bielsa school of thought and kind of what the expectations are from the way his teams have played in the past. That conditioning, fitness, high press, intensity. These are things that his teams have been known for in the past. So it does kind of line up with what you would kind of initially think that camp would kind of be spoken to.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're adding up the traits of Pochettino and then what he's trying to do for a team that clearly lacked a lot of that energy and that intensity during the last half a year under Berhalter, then again, it's like you got a coach who's pent up, ready to coach, who isn't going to come in and be like, guys, let's just ride the bikes and hang out for a bit and chat. No, he wants to get them on the field. He wants to see what they can do, and you got a bunch of players who feel the need to impress the new coach.
I'm happy to see there's a sense of urgency for sure, because he's got a year and a half. I mean, maybe just over a year and a half. This is a sense of urgency moment that the U.S. has put themselves in, changing coaches this close without any true test
Yeah.
between now and then. Maybe you could say Nations League, but you're going to be playing the exact same teams you're playing this weekend. You're not really going to be testing and pushing yourself outside of what a normal kind of window is here with the exception of not having qualification.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously an odd situation for both the coach and the players, and then also you throw in the fact that lots of guys are missing. Like a lot of guys aren't here, and that makes it really tough. I mean, I was thinking about it today. I'm probably most as much as I have some excitement, and I'm hoping that we see good showings against Panama and Mexico. The biggest travesty here in this camp is that Gio's not here to get the experience of what it's like to play under Pochettino. Weah's not here to get the experience of what it's like to play under Pochettino, considering some things that happened in Copa America. Sergino Dest is not here.
Pochettino's still shooting shots across the bow. Gio Reyna, though, from a distance, you could make the case, maybe subtly, talking about might be better to be in MLS and playing than being in Europe and not playing. He's quoted as saying that this week.
Yeah, I think that is basically just the politician coming out in Pochettino. I don't read anything into that. It would be easy for the anti-MLS brigade to get up in arms about that, but I don't think it's worth it. I think it's so individual. This has always been the case, by the way. Like, no matter what Klinsmann said, no matter what Pochettino says now, it's always individual. It's always case by case. If the most talented player that you've got at any given position is mostly riding the bench in Europe, he's still going to be in your team. And if he plays well enough in training and shows well enough in friendlies or whatever, you're going to play him when it matters. I don't care. Like, if the gap between the best player riding the bench in Europe and the second best player playing lots of minutes in MLS is still big talent-wise, you play the better player regardless of how many minutes he's getting. And Pochettino's not stupid. He's going to do that.
I think that's a little simplistic. The better player is not necessarily the player that's fit. That's not the player that fits the style that he wants to play.
So that's the fact. That's what you're. Yeah, exactly. Pochettino's kind of player is going to win out.
Talented players sit on the bench all the time.
Yes. Yeah. So one thing. So the bans being out in all of these videos that we're seeing certainly seems to be sending a message about the intensity that Pochettino is bringing to the table with this group. And again, we still are 2 days away from the first game he'll ever coach. And it's a friendly in Austin against Panama. And I don't know. This is not the most exciting starting 11 that we've ever built on the Best Soccer Show. It's not.
No, it's not about the 11. It's about how they play on the field. Like, what's different? What looks different? Same players. You've seen these players before, even the B level, the B team players. You've seen them play before. What's different now?
Yeah. I want to ask you a question before we dive into the 11, which we are going to talk about here. This picture of Pochettino, let me just frame that up a little bit here. This image of Mauricio Pochettino from national team camp that was posted on the U.S. men's national team Twitter page. What's the energy here? First of all, I question that's not my style. I mean, I don't know if he's even pulling it off for him. I'd be willing to give him a pass on the sunglasses if I thought he was pulling them off.
I think it's a bootleg Neo from the Matrix.
Okay.
It's got definitely Dad at the River vibes.
Dad at the River. I think it's a little high school football coach. Like, it's like high school Texas football coach.
Friday Night Lights.
Don't you think? Yeah, it's a Friday night. Don't you think it's a Friday Night Lights kind of vibe?
That's why he has to wear glasses. The Friday Night Lights are so bright.
They got 2-a-days out there in the Texas heat, which was where, look, they're in Austin. They're running intense practices. Why wouldn't we bring in Friday Night Lights and evoke the Texas high school energy?
There was a moment when they posted that. I saw someone posted he was watching the Austin 2 game recently, and I forgot that the camp was in Austin. I was like, who the hell is he scouting at a MLS Next Pro game? It's just interesting that's where he spent his time. What a trip for the guys that are playing on Austin 2. You go out to do your game for the week, whatever it is, against, I don't know, the Tulsa Rough Riders or something. I don't know. Is that a thing?
You know what? It's a little bit high school football coach, or it's a little bit like you said, down by the river. Yeah, like, okay, that Mauricio Pochettino.
There's a koozie nearby that picture.
I could see that Mauricio Pochettino. I could see him in a garage with Nicky Soup and Sausage downing some cervezas. I could see that.
What's Nicky's beer of choice?
I can't remember. I know the man's kicking field goals out there on
Oh
on
yeah, if you're not
socials.
following Nikki Soup and Salad on the Instagram, the dude put in what about a 30-yarder?
Something like that.
I think I'm starting to like Cincinnati.
Oh man,
His son,
Nicholas
I
Soup
believe,
and
is the place
Salad.
I believe his son is the place kicker for their high school team, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So
And I
he
know
was out
Nick.
there
I
showing
know
he
Nick.
still got it.
He has done. Yeah, that was his role in his high school football team.
Summer Shandy, is that what he likes to drink? If I'm not mistaken,
A Lining Kugel? It could be a Lining Kugel.
It
You're
might have
right.
been a shandy of some kind.
It could be. I mean, this is
Nikki
a good
Soup and
question
Shandy.
from Connor. What's U.S. Soccer's mate budget now? Like
Oh.
they got some mate out there. You think anybody in the U.S. men's national team, as it's currently constituted, appreciates a mate?
I can tell you, Busio is like the guy that's probably closest to me. The guy that he'd want mate energy. Not that he likes it, but the people
Okay.
he likes drink it, and that's
I
why
see.
he does it too.
Okay, that's interesting. So he just wants to be. It's sort of like when the cool kids
Does
do
Pepe do a
something.
mate?
Pepe could be mate adjacent. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
There's
Marlon
no.
Fossey puts a pipe in his mouth, but it's for something else.
Wait a second. Is that an allegation? Is that
You don't have hair
Whoa.
like that and not know how to hit something.
okay? This is the Kyle Beckerman theory, right? This is
I think I put it on a while back. That dude looks like he can skin a swisher in like under 60 seconds.
okay. Well, I think that's allegations that have not yet been proven, and we need to be careful about sullying the
Does he play in
reputation of
Amsterdam?
one Marlon Fossey. No, he plays in Belgium.
Oh,
he plays at Standard Liège.
Adjacent.
in Belgium. All right. So again, and we're going to come back to some other U.S. men's national team news as has hit the internet in just a couple minutes because I'm fascinated by where we're at right now as a culture as we begin the Poach era.
Who do you get someone embedded with this team during these couple games and going forward? Like maybe a Chucky Boom Boom. I'm not sure if he's traveling down to Austin or not. Who's traveling?
I have one request.
What's up?
Just as long as it's not Roger Bennett. That's all I ask. Can we do it? Can we
Sure.
move on?
Here's what
Can
I
we
need.
move on?
I need Chucky Boom Boom or someone like that to let me know. I need a lemon update. I need citrus facts.
Right.
I need to know that like in the buffet room where they're getting their meals every day, is
Yes.
there a lemon bowl that's not to be touched? It's just an energy bowl.
Right.
You know? Like
Right.
hey,
If you
this
touch
citrus
those
over here,
lemons,
this
you're
citrus,
paying the price.
this is black market. This is like down here. This is low budget citrus. You can eat that. Over here, this is the good important citrus with the energy. This is a bowl that doesn't get touched.
Well, he talked about importing lemons from Italy, importing lemons from other places. So I'm wondering what's the lemon budget, right? It's the latte
melting
budget.
pot.
What's
There's a
the
melting
lemon budget? Yes, exactly right. Okay. So again,
Get on,
bunch of guys
Chucky.
missing. Can you even off the top of your head name every player that would be in this camp if he was healthy that is currently missing? Is it possible?
I
I
will
will give
give
you
at least 10 guys long.
I will give you a
see if I can
ding
name 10.
for everyone you can name.
Let me
Actually,
think if I
don't-
can think of 10.
yeah, I got a ding. Let's go.
Sergino Dest. Center back Chris Richards.
Dos,
And I will say Tyler Adams,
tres,
Johnny Cardoso,
cuatro.
Luca Della Torre.
Oh, I'm going to stop you there. I think I have to give you a buzzer on that one. I don't think
I
don't
he was
think
injured.
I think Luca's not there because he ain't playing. But okay, perhaps. I didn't see the injury.
I would
went
say you
looking
could
for
make the
injury.
case that he is above a couple of different midfielders that were selected here.
You could make that case, but we don't know if that's Pochettino's opinion of the situation. Okay, fine. I'll give that to you. That's 5. You're up to 5. What else you got?
Let's see. What else I got? Gio Reyna.
That's 6.
We've got Balaga.
Did you mention Balagun? That's 7.
Weah.
8.
Man, am I missing?
Did you say the captain? Did you mention the captain already?
Tyler Adams? I said Tyler Adams. Yeah.
Okay, you did say Tyler Adams. Okay, who are we missing?
That
Anybody?
might be it.
Is
I
that
think
it?
That might be it. I'm not sure if I'm missing someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, I've top of my head. I think that might be it. That's 8 then.
Okay. That's
8
that's a
legit
lot.
for sure. No debate kind of like guys that should be
Right.
there.
There are some guys. Like Cameron Carter Vickers is kind of a fringy guy. You might name him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Who?
I'm sorry. You might have said Gio twice. Kevin says you might have said Gio twice. So it's either 7 or 8.
I don't think
Cameron Carter Vickers. That's his name. I keep forgetting.
that
I keep
dude.
forgetting. Gotta get the proper pronunciation. Like you can't say Maurizio Pochettino. Like that's terrible. That's not how you say it. And you
TCV
don't
is
say it-
injured though, correct?
He is injured. I feel like
I
that's
don't want him
probably
anywhere
why he's
near
not here.
I don't want him anywhere near the national team, so I don't
No?
consider him missing. No,
Okay,
he's looked
so
terrible every time he's played for the national team.
he's not ahead of Miles Robinson. He's not ahead of 37-year-old Tim Ream.
No.
He's not ahead of Mark McKenzie.
No.
He's not ahead of Austin Trusty.
In my mind, I
his club
think
teammate.
no, because again, CCV has not shown. I can't think of a good game he's had for the national team. I really can't.
I think that's
he
probably
gets
fair.
exposed for speed. He looks like he's nervous, and those aren't the traits I want with the center back. Because you're the last guy for the goal. I need someone with composure, and unfortunately, the only person we have at composure at the position truly is Tim Ream, and he's on he's expiring soon.
He's expired. I don't know why that feels very cruel to me to say it that way. That is expiring.
Maybe it's because he's so milky. That's why I'm thinking of that word.
Wow,
pasty.
That is a. I mean, I don't know that Tim Ream would take issue with it because
Damn, dog.
he's
That's inappropriate.
he's such a chill guy.
But he
Like,
was
he's
well
so chill.
pasteurized. Well pasteurized. Because look how long he's lasted. His shelf life's fantastic.
Ultra pasteurized Tim Ream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the verdict here. Okay, so with those players missing, what are we talking about in terms of the starting lineup?
So here's
this US men's
I do
national
have a qualifier. I think we need to have a conversation of before we start this conversation, and that's: are we saying the best starting 11 possible? Or are we saying what starting 11 for Panama? Because at the end of the day, I think there is a couple positions I would choose differently if you're thinking about the Mexico game being a couple days out. And I'll give you an example. I would play Marlon Fossey in this game instead, right back, and I would play Scally the next game against Mexico, where you play.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You're being a reasonable. You're thinking like a coach. I have no problem with that.
I'm
so
going
let's
to give you a lineup that is
focus.
for Panama, not the best 11. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, let's. Well, but I don't. Okay, I get what you're trying. You're trying to drive a wedge between those things. I think that what I care about more is whether you are talking about what you would do, or what you think Pochettino will do, because obviously Pochettino.
None of us know what Pochettino's going to do. There's nothing to draw on.
That's true. That's true. But he has a clear identity as a playing style. That is part of what he brings to the table. So what players fit in? Like, there is one player in this group that feels like a Pochettino player.
Can we 3-2-1 and see if we say the same name?
Absolutely.
3,
2, 1. Brendan Anderson. Yeah, there you go. 100%. I mean,
I think that lag's going to come out just right to everybody else. For you and I, though, there was a little bit of a breakdown.
When I was talking over you, I might have said Brendan Anderson because I couldn't get it right in my head. But Brendan Anderson is okay. So let's get to that. You want to start at the back because there's a significant question, I think, at goalkeeper, and one of the things that has popped up in the last couple days is Brad Friedel, who I actually got a chance to talk to on the radio. What you know, I have a radio show. Are you aware of the
WNBC?
WNBC.
I do a radio show. I mean, I don't have my own radio show, but I do a radio show. It's with some guy. I don't remember his name right now. I don't want to put it in the old noggin. But Brad Friedel, who I talked to on the radio before Pochettino was official, he talked about what Pochettino would bring to the table if he was going to be the head coach of the national team. And recently he gave an interview where he said, Pochettino's a smart coach. He wants to play out of the back, but if he can't because he doesn't have the player in goal to do it, he's not going to stick with that. He's going to make an adjustment. He's going to play longer, or he's going to find ways to avoid those pitfalls and potential errors if he's trying to play to his center backs and fullbacks.
4 keepers in this roster: Ethan Horvath, Patrick Schulte, Zach Steffen, Matt Turner. If you are going to play out of the back, who's your choice?
If I'm playing out of the back, it is probably Zach Steffen, but I'm not saying I love that.
But we all remember him being too comfortable with the ball at his feet.
He
many
can
times
be
as well.
nonchalant, that Mr. Steffen.
Despite that, though, I still feel right now the best choice, the best keeper in the American pool right now is Patrick Schulte.
You think he's the best?
Yeah.
The best keeper overall, period.
I think he is playing the best out of every keeper right now, yeah. I think Zach Steffen's close. He's having a really good season at Colorado. But Patrick Schulte, and think about the fact that he was just given recent games and how strong he looked in those games. The games Pochettino was probably watching leading up to this. Okay. I think Patrick Schulte is a temporary number one until Matt Turner can figure out what's going on with his club career.
Okay, so I will say this in Patrick, and I love Patrick Schulte, and I do think he has the potential to be the clear number one. And then by the time we get to the World Cup, right? And maybe that road starts now. Maybe he starts taking those steps. Obviously, in the last window under Mikey Veras, but now under the actual head coach, Mauricio Pochettino, maybe it starts. He plays in a system that should give Pochettino no pause about his ability to build out of the back. So, okay.
And I
let's
also
go with
think,
it.
again, talking about Panama and Mexico, I think goalie is one of the other positions where you're going to see two different players start in these two different games.
He may want
I
to
think
get
Matt
a look
Turner's,
to
Matt Turner's more
guys.
likely to get the Mexico game. Patrick Schulte is more likely to get the Panama game. So I'm going with Patrick Schulte out of the back. In the center back position, I'm going with Mark McKenzie and Tim Ream. Even though Miles Robinson, I think, has shown that he may be a little bit further up in the pecking order than Mark McKenzie in the past. I think Miles Robinson and Tim Ream both want to play that left center back position. And I think Mark McKenzie's auditioning for the other one. I'd like to see Mark McKenzie and Tim Ream in this one myself.
Okay, so the question on Tim Ream is the same one that Kevin asks here. Tim Ream, assistant coach 2026 or playing. I mean, that's because if you are saying Tim Ream is not going to be, if there's any thought at all, and Tim Ream has been public this week, I mean, talking to the media, saying, like, I hope I'm there. Maybe I'll be there. I don't know. I'm just going to come in and play hard every time I get called up. If you don't think he's going to be there at the World Cup in 2026, when he will be very close to 39 years old. By the way, happy birthday to Tim Ream, just after me last week.
Oh, also
October
happy birthday
5th.
to Morgan, who I believe is today.
Shout out to Morgs. Yeah, she gets a birthday mention. You weren't here from you missed out on my birthday. You didn't actually celebrate with me for my birthday. So
yeah, I definitely celebrate your birthday.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I celebrate your birthday out here. Yeah.
Yeah, without me. Yeah, you're drinking Roti Ritas without me to celebrate my birthday. I know how it goes. All right. Anyway, if you don't think he's going to be a key player, it doesn't have to be a starter in 2026, but you don't think he's going to be a player, should you be starting him in friendlies when you? What?
Then he shouldn't be here then. If you're not willing to start him and play him, why is he here?
Well, continuity, the familiarity, a veteran that clearly Pochettino has a book on because he coached against him in the Premier League. Like I see all the reasons
think Tim
to bring
Ream's
him.
an important player to bring in for a number of different reasons. One of them, a person that Pochettino can actually go to and speak to as a man, as a veteran, that's saying like, hey, tell me your thoughts on this team, a leader on the team. And also he gets a chance to see if he still has enough gas in the tank to see what he can do as part of this system going forward. But even right now, is there a better defender on the team?
No, there's not a better defender.
At center back.
Well, okay.
There's a better defender on the team, but probably Anthony Robinson's maybe the best left back in the Premier League right now.
Well, so. I say that. Yeah, okay, center back. My inclination is to say no, but then again, he just moved to MLS. He's playing for Charlotte. I don't, that is such a dramatic shift in sort of, and I know we've already talked about this. Better to be playing in MLS than riding the bench in Europe, whatever. I don't know that Tim Ream suddenly became a bad player because he moved to MLS. That's not usually my line of thought. But I don't know if I think like, oh, he's at the same level because he was dropped.
Here's the thing, though, regarding Tim Ream, though. Do we both expect him to be playing going into the summer of 2026? Playing. Just Charlotte.
Man, I could see the man hanging it up after next season in MLS. Like, I don't think he signed for Charlotte for like just a couple months and then he's going to be done. Like, I don't think that's the thing. I think he'd probably play one more year. But that's 2025, and he'd be done after that.
If he is still playing professional football going into the summer of 2026, then you have him in the conversation, because even if you drop him and you're not bringing him into camps, Tim Ream is going to show up professionally, be ready, and mentally is going to be enough to, if you have an issue at center back, you have injuries, whatever, you could throw him on the roster. As long as he is fit and he is still playing at that age in 2026, you could bring him like other players have been brought along the years too, as that guy that's there. He's not going to be everyday starter, but if you had a big game and you did 60 minutes, Tim Ream can give you 60 minutes.
This is going to sound reductive, right? And it's going to sound simple and ridiculous to say, but if he is one of your 4 best center backs in 2026, going into the summer of 2026, you take him to the World Cup. It's that simple. I think the question is, do you foresee, because with a 37-year-old player, you have much more reason to believe he might not be playing at all, and much more reason to believe he might not be playing at a high level come the summer of 2026, as opposed to a 27-year-old player.
Let me ask you an open question. Who's the best American center back in MLS right now?
The best American center back? It's probably Miles. I would
It's probably
say.
Aaron Long. And
Well,
that would,
okay.
let's be honest, the dude's having a fantastic season. I am not saying bring Aaron Long back,
I
but I'm
see,
saying
okay.
that is the drop off we have at center back right now. When we talk about if it's not these guys right here, minus Tim Ream, your depth is 4 center backs. If you take Tim Ream out, you basically have 4 center backs to choose from, unless you're getting down to the Aaron Long level.
Well, okay.
It's thin.
I do think there is a bit of an issue with there is nobody bumping up against this group that we haven't seen before. I will say that
Jalen Neal just lost his starting spot. You know?
I will say that Austin Trusty is not yet tested in a national team setup in a way that makes me have any idea of what he's capable of at this level, right? And he made the move to Celtic, which I'm sorry, Scottish football fans, it makes me feel like, I don't know if he's going to quite sharpen his edge ahead of the World Cup playing for Celtic. There's Champions League, I get it.
Agreed.
But it's not the same, right? It's not the same as the Premier League. It's not the same as even the Championship, which
All
I
I'm
feel
saying
comfortable
is that Tim
with.
Ream's potential position here is far more likely in the 2026 World Cup than most any other positional player outside of striker, because the depth is so thin at the position. So he's going to be part of this conversation all the way to 2026, as long as he's still playing professionally, because no one is stepping up to be the guy. They're not. They're okay, but not at his level.
Yeah, there's clearly nobody that is
All right,
in
fullbacks.
the category. Okay, so hold on. All right, you said Ream and Mark McKenzie. Those are your 2 choices.
Yep.
At center back for the U.S. men's national team. Who are your fullbacks?
I'm going Andy Robinson on the left. He's been out of the last camp. I think you got to bring him in so we can do. I think he plays both games. I think he starts both games.
Yeah,
Even though I
okay.
think Christopher Lund has done nothing to hurt his case. I think he had a fantastic window, one of the best players at the last window.
Sure.
But I still think Andy Robinson gets both these games.
Anthony Robinson is a better player than Christopher Lund.
For sure. But
I mean,
does he need to
that's
play
his-
both games of a friendly in a window where he's already putting minutes on at the Premier League? That's the conversation. But I think he does, though.
Yeah, maybe not. By the way,
I
shout out
think
to
Pochettino
we'll break
truly-
in here. Shout out to Morgan. Happy birthday, Morgan. We were just saying it earlier. She wasn't here yet, so now we got to get that in. Go ahead.
I truly think that Andy Robinson is a player that Pochettino builds around for the next
for
year
sure.
and a half.
Oh, absolutely.
Where
Like
Anthony
they-
Robinson was a complimentary player, for Greg Berhalter, and it was
Right.
MMA and stuff like that. Christian Pulisic, Anthony Robinson wing has the potential to be a world-class wing if a coach can figure it out.
I would say that, no offense to Christian, who's on an incredible form, who I think still has more to give. And if we want to crack open the world-class argument, I'm here for it. It's what we do. It's what sports fans do. But I would say that it relative to his position, if you were making a list, you would get to Anthony Robinson at left back way sooner than you would get to Christian Pulisic at left wing or even right wing playing for Milan, just in terms of world rankings. I think Anthony Robinson is that high among left fullbacks to rank at a higher percentile than Pulisic. They're both incredible players.
On paper, Christian Pulisic, a right-footed attacker on the left side, and Anthony Robinson, a world-class speed left back. That should work on paper.
Yeah.
For some reason, it doesn't consistently work for the U.S. national team at the level it should, with the regularity that it should. And part of that is the right wing's got to be dangerous enough that they can't overplay the left.
They can't shift too much to the left side. Yeah,
Exactly.
no.
So it needs more balance in the attack.
I also think, Pulisic as a right-footed player is a right-footed player who picks up positions with the ball at his feet in wide areas and then uses the ball. Where is Anthony Robinson supposed to be in those
here's
moments?
the other conversation on this, and we're not at the strikers yet, but because we're on it right now, I'll talk about it. Christian Pulisic is having one of the best seasons ever for an American, best calendar years ever for American.
Sure.
But it's not playing on the left side.
No,
it's playing
not.
on the right side. Leao's got that left side at the AC Milan. Christian Pulisic is being one of the best attackers in Serie A on the right side or even in the middle, not on the left where he plays for the U.S. national team. And I think Pochettino has the stature to stand up and say, hey, maybe this isn't where I want you playing. Whereas I think Berhalter was a little bit more of a slave to Christian Pulisic in that regard and where he wanted to be on the field.
Well, maybe. I also think it matters who you have on the other side, what the balance is, right? So if you have another left wing option or a left forward option that can give you some sort of balance, as you just mentioned, then you can play with Christian Pulisic on the right. Milan can do it because they have Rafael Leao. Can the United States men's national team do it without anybody sort of stepping into that role? I mean, who is it? Because the only real The only options that feel even mildly comfortable are guys who are really central players who you'd be pushing out wide, and I don't like any of that. All right, let's go back. So Jedi Robinson is your left back. There's no question. I mean, should he play both friendlies? I guess that's a thing we can ponder.
Pulisic, it's the biggest lock the U.S. men's national team has.
Those two guys are absolutely in ink on the team sheet every single time. On the right side,
for the Panama game. For the Panama game, I'm going Marlon Fossey. I thought he was fun. I really enjoyed watching him last time. I thought in the absence of Sergino Dest, what Joe Scally doesn't give you is attacking threat and speed. Any kind of verticality at all from that right back position. He does give you a decent defensive.
He's a good defensive fullback. I think he has some issues with. I think he gets caught in possession a little too much. I think there's some questions with turnovers. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I like Fossey because he at least keeps opponents honest because of what he can do in behind or up the field.
And because that, I think Scally is probably the more likely starter against Mexico, which is going to have a higher level of talent than Panama. So I think you give Marlon Fossey the shot here and see what he can do and give a young kid a chance to continue on what he saw in the last camp. So that's my back four.
Okay. I have no issues with that. The only thing I would say is, again, that question of what is Tim Ream's future and would I rather see somebody else there?
I think you see 4 different center backs over 2 games, though.
That's very possible. I think that's very possible. So you would mix it up and go with Miles and Trusty in the next game.
Miles and Trusty gives you an incredibly athletic center back pairing. And I for some reason, I'm interested in seeing what that looks like. It's untested as a partnership, but pretty much any combination you go here other than Ream and Miles together is going to be kind of untested.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, I think there's a couple of different elements that you want to have the opportunity to see everybody play. I do think it matters who you play them with and what the communication is like and how comfortable they are. I also think, obviously it's disappointing that Chris Richards isn't going to get a chance to do anything here. Although I don't know that anybody is so confident about Chris Richards' place in the starting lineup that there isn't. It feels like this is auditions. Like outside of Reed.
I want to recognize Statman Nate in the chat saying Zach Steffen, number 29 of 33 MLS goalkeepers and save percentage at 65.2%. No, thank you. Also throws in that Patrick Schulte, number 8 in the league at 74.3. And you figure not every keeper is an American. So in terms of Americans, he's pretty far up there for MLS. I would be interested. What is John McCarthy's save rate? He has a poor defense, but makes a lot of stops. I'd be interested, Nate, if you still have that up. I'd like to see what that is.
No, I mean, by the way, save percentage matters. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I would be more.
4 people in front of you really affect that.
Yeah, I would be more interested in sort of, the expected goals numbers and what these guys give up relative to that. Because obviously, if you have incredible shots or your guys are not, blocking lanes or giving you any support in those areas, then you're going to be in for a shooting gallery. And I think, Colorado's also a work in progress. I'm not trying to defend Zach Steffen as the first choice for the U.S. men's national team. Clearly not. But I think he's probably better than his numbers look for the most part. For the most part, right?
All right, midfielders.
By the way, I just want to point out, if you choose to play Austin Trusty, you talk about Miles Robinson and Tim Ream both wanting to be the guy on the left side of that. And I don't think that, obviously it's more comfortable. It's just the body shape stuff and all those things. But Miles Robinson, a right-footed player, whereas Tim Ream's a left-footed player. Austin Trusty also a left-footed player. So just again, to keep this stuff in mind, because it may play some role in what we see from Pochettino and how he goes. Mark McKenzie, more of a 2-footed player, but largely deployed on the right side. Yeah, right dominant. Okay, so let's move into the midfield then.
So for me, I've seen a lot of people with a few different formations out there this week, and I'll be honest with you. When I look at the midfield, I actually start with a player that I see not in some people's lineups.
Okay, so you say formations, you mean like the midfield makeup?
Sorry, selections. I apologize. Selections.
All right, fair. Because Pochettino himself,
I'm going with 3-man midfield.
Pochettino himself has said that it's either going to be a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. Those are the options. Those are
double pivot and
those are the options. And again, it depends on personnel and opponent.
I think my choice of 3 allows you kind of do either one, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But for me, the first name on the chief sheet for midfield may be surprised to some. It's not Weston McKennie for me. It's Aiden Morse. Aiden Morris is the first name on it for me. I think he had the best window of any player last window. He's played fantastic for Middlesbrough, and I think he is a true 6 in a way that any other candidate out there.
You think he's a 6?
He can play. See, I'm sure he can play a true 6 better than any other player that's in this roster right now.
Okay, I don't think he's a 6, but I do think
there's no Tyler Adams, there's no Maloney. When you're talking about a bunch of guys that are 8s. What's the guy that can truly play a 6 if you need him to? It's Aiden Morris.
Well, okay. I also think that the guy who got called in as a replacement, Tanner Tessman, can fill that role too. But I'm not saying he's ahead of Aiden Morris.
Another 8 though, like none of these guys are a true 6.
Okay, I'm just saying that they can
Tyler Adams
fill that role, right? You're talking about filling it. No,
what I love about Aiden Morris and why I would play him there though is that he seems to really understand and predict the passing lanes and jump.
He reads the game
so well.
He reads the game really well. He does.
He fills passing lanes and gets his body positioning in between the ball and the other player so well that I just want more of that. He does so much work that allows McKennie to play slightly in front of him there. And for me, I like that. And then the last, so for me, it's Aiden Morris and Weston McKennie. And now I'm struggling at the third spot, because I can really see one of two things. If it wasn't Pochettino running this offense, I would tell you Musa's the next guy, because it allows Musa to be freed up from the defensive responsibilities where he's looked suspect in the past. When you ask Musa to play right off that back 4, he makes mental mistakes, gives up the ball, and puts the back 4 in bad positions. If you let him be further up the field, it's a good thing. But if we're talking about the tip of the spear in the midfield, I think that's too far forward for him. And in Pochettino's team, when we both said a name in terms of the industry that's wanted, I could see Brendan Aronson being played at the top of the midfield, not at the winger position, where I think a lot of people are thinking of him.
Well, I think there's another reason for that. And the other reason for that is pressing to win the ball back.
Yep.
Right. And that's
if you have Morris, McKennie, and Aronson,
those are 3 good pressers.
Huge press midfield right there.
Those are 3 good pressers. And even
I don't know if we can advance the ball.
Well, I think Aiden Morris is going to surprise you. And this is why I don't talk about him. I'm saying he's not a pure 6. Now, that's probably unfair to good passing 6s, and there are plenty of those, and they're the best one. I mean, the guys we hold up as the exemplar at the 6 are good passers of the ball.
Conte.
Yeah, Conte, Rodri, these kind of guys. And we're going to see if Aiden Morris, he's not in that category, of course, but we're going to see if he can fill that role. I agree with you. I don't know if you're right predicting that he will start, but I want to see him. Absolutely, I want to see. I'm an Aiden Morris truther, and I think he's improved his game. I think playing alongside Darlington Nagbe has been massive for him, and he's carried that over to England, where he has not been, awed by the challenge of being under pressure every week to win games at a club like Middlesbrough. I absolutely want that. Whether or not Musa fits is definitely an interesting question.
This is going against my own parameters I set when I was talking about Panama versus Mexico and what selections. Honestly, the 3 I just gave you is probably a better Mexico lineup. And I see a lot of selections that people are making for the midfield for the Panama game being McKennie, Busio, and Tillman, where someone is kind of more of a floating, actual creative player. But I just think that there's too much unproven stuff there. I don't know that either of those guys
where is the guy who's going to slow counterattacks in midfield? That's not Busio. That scares me. So I think Morris is the choice in that area. I think you're right. Morris might be the choice in that area to cover ground and help in those moments when the ball turns over and comes back the other way. I know Weston McKennie can track back, and I know he can be a player that can help you in those areas. I mean, go look at his tackle in that Champions League game that leads to the winning goal for Juventus. Like, he can do those things. Gaudaman, absolutely. Like, guts. Love that from him. I want to see that for the national team, clearly. But I think I understand Busio is a distributor, right? But again, I think you can play Morris there and still be able to advance the ball. Tillman's an interesting one, because you could swap out Aronson for Tillman. And I don't know, the difference is the energy level. The difference is the pressing, because I think Tillman he hasn't shown it for the national team. I haven't seen it. Like, I'm
the player I see at PSV and the player I see at the U.S. national team is very different.
Yeah, I love the idea of Malik Tillman, but he has not proven that at the national team level that he can be the same Malik Tillman. So that's certainly an issue.
He doesn't seem to be able to have the poise that he has at PSV, and part of that is there's not much defense being played in the Netherlands. But it doesn't seem he has the same poise on the ball when he gets the ball at the national team level. That either
Seems
he's forcing
nervous.
it or doing too
nervous.
much,
Yeah.
or he has less time on the ball than he thinks he does.
And some of this is system. Some of this is like when you are in a predominant position talent-wise, which PSV is most of the time in Holland, it can be different, the vibes of it. I mean, I know they didn't play heavy hitters, and Malik Tillman's been on the field. There's something missing for him mentality-wise. I think it's the same thing for Johnny Cardoso. So I don't know what's the disconnect between Cardoso, the player we see at Real Betis, and the player that shows up for the national team, because it did not look good in that last window for me. I mean, not good enough, certainly for me to think Johnny Cardoso is the answer at 6 without Tyler Adams in the lineup.
If you're going to pick 3 for this game, what would you pick?
I think, man, I think you might be right. My gut says Aronson is a Pochettino guy, like I said.
It's hard not to see a lineup that doesn't have Musa out there. But
yeah, I think the issue of not having a clear choice at the 6 and Tessman being a replacement for an injured player doesn't make me think he's going to get a start.
Yeah.
I think Busio has been very good for Venezia on a bad team in Italy, which makes it hard to kind of judge him. His passing ability is fine. The issue is, again, pressing in the way that Pochettino wants to play. I think you've got the midfield. I don't know how I'm going to disagree with your midfield, because I think Weston has to be out there. He's just one of the better players. The
problem
team,
is if you bring Brendan Aronson to the midfield on a team that already is short on wide forwards and guys that can play there, you bring an actual candidate for that out of that position and bring him into the midfield.
Maybe, but he was also listed as a midfielder in the roster. That doesn't always mean anything. Yeah. But he was listed as a midfielder in the roster. And if we are going to read anything into that might indicate that Pochettino's ready to play him in that position. Now, I could also see it being, an opportunity to see a couple of different guys. I don't know what Pochettino will do with his substitution patterns in a friendly, but I could see Tillman starting and Aronson coming on later. I could definitely see that. That's kind of been Aronson's role when he has been back in the national team. I can't get past the idea that Morris should start, at least against Panama. I just can't get past the idea that he should start.
And then he potentially earns the spot for the Mexico game based on how he does in the Panama game.
Absolutely.
Now,
I can't buy the idea, no matter the fact that Pochettino's starting with a clean slate, I can't buy the idea that Busio is ahead of Morris. Yeah. Despite the fact that Busio has been a national teamer.
Unless something has been amazing in practice this week.
Maybe.
Now, the forward line, definitely people are going to disagree with me. And it's important that I need to put that same caveat in there. I'm not saying this is the best 3 strikers. I'm saying in a game against Panama, when you have another game against Mexico, what I would try doing in this game. And here, obviously, Christian Pulisic is the starter on the left side. I'm not going to tinker with that. But I am going to do something kind of weird. And I think if these 2 players play, they need to play with each other. I would go with Brandon Vasquez and Zendejas on the right side against Panama. Let me tell you why before you give me that look. Is Panama going to come out and play, or are they going to sit in behind?
In a friendly, I have no idea. I would guess that they would sit in. Okay. They're going to sit in.
If they're going to sit in, you have to be able to beat a man somewhere on the field. You have to be able to break pressure somewhere.
I see.
And if you're going to play Marlon Fossey and you have a player like Zendejas on the right-hand side, I think Zendejas, one of the best parts of his game is beating the defender for a pace, for a step, and swinging in a ball into the middle. And if you're going to swing a ball into the middle, I don't think there's a better target forward than Brandon Vasquez.
All right.
Also, if you're going to be breaking down a bunkered in defense, there's going to be a lot of physicality there. And I think Brandon Vasquez has the ability to muscle guys into space and win those headers that you're going to have to do against a team that's bunkered in.
Okay. Again, he's also a replacement player. I know you're saying kind of what you would do. I said,
this is not, I said, Mexico, I wouldn't put this out there.
No, I understand. I don't know about the flip-flopping because of the different opponents, although I guess I could see that. I think Josh Sargent is the best fit for Pochettino in how he wants to play. I think Sargent brings the greatest number of tools in his toolbox. I think he's the most athletic and best presser and best defender of any forward in this group. I think that would be true if Balogun was here as well. I mean, that wouldn't have changed. In fact, I think there was a decent chance that Sargent might push past Balogun. And that might have happened regardless of Pochettino coming in, by the way. If Sargent is healthy and in the form he's in right now, he could be the option. They're going to play differently. And I think, for me, Josh Sargent, Christian Pulisic, the right side is a black hole. I don't know.
You
It could
make
be
the case
Zendejas.
that Tillman could be there. You can make the case that Tillman should play there. You can make the case
Oh, sure.
that Yunus
Sure.
Musa maybe even be able to play there.
No,
You
yeah,
know,
I guess
freed
he
up
has.
responsibility.
I would rather see Tillman, and then I would rather see Tillman. That might be interesting. I mean, I wouldn't put.
If you're telling me my
Aronson
best,
wide.
if you're telling me the bet to put out the line of the best three strikers that are available,
Yeah.
it's Christian Pulisic, Josh Sargent, and Brendan Aronson. That is the best 3-man front line that I think we can put out there. But that's positionally correct. You could put Haji right in there for Aronson or something, I guess. It might get, but it doesn't feel quite right. And then you lose him in the midfield.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because Brendan Aronson is not Brendan's so completely a different player than Pulisic is on the left side. If you're starting Pulisic on the left side, Aronson needs to play in combination, which means you need bodies there in those areas in the attacking third for him to play with. If that is that, I think again, Sargent and Vasquez are both the kind of big body center back or big body back to goal center forwards who could play, and I think Sargent probably is the most skilled of that group.
All around striker.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
But like again, I don't know that any striker is going to start both games. I really don't.
It's possible. No.
So I think if you're not going to, this is how I line it up.
Where Pepe is in this pecking order and how he kind of fits is interesting. Like I don't know how to read that.
He has made a niche for himself against his will.
Yeah.
PSV uses him as super sub. He's done well at the U.S. national team level as a super sub. And until he's showing that he can do it someplace consistently as a starter, I don't think he's going to beat any of these guys out.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
I would start Sargent in the Mexico game, though. I just want anyone to think. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying Brandon Vasquez is better than Josh Sargent. I'm not. Josh Sargent is the better striker, but each one is complementary and better at certain things. And I think I'd like to see some of those things against Panama.
All right, I got a couple of things I want to get to before we're done. I think that's a good discussion on this. I would start Sargent. I would start Pulisic, and then I guess, man, I got Brendan Aronson in my midfield.
Yep.
So I guess I got to play Zendejas out there, even though Zendejas is better through the middle anyway. So it's kind of messy. The whole thing is very messy. There's not good options anywhere. I want to share something else before we leave. Jared, did you see Sergino Dest? What he put up on his social media?
I guarantee you I didn't.
Okay, you did not. Do you care to see it?
Oh, I'll see it. But I'm just telling you, like, Sergino Dest's socials aren't on my radar.
No, I understand. All right, this is what Sergino Dest put up. I'm gonna get rid of this banner. He put this up on his Instagram. Apparently, I saw it through Watkey. I saw it. Eric Winalda, some guy I know, also shared it and had a comment about it. What do you notice about this picture?
Well, first of all, for people that may not be listening to this, not watching it, what Jason's showing on the screen right now is Sergino Dest in a barber chair with a smock of a kind, like one of the things you put over yourself. Now, I'm imagining what's catching my eye is the fact that there's a Superman crest of SGD in the middle of the smock, which I'm guessing we should.
What do you think that stands for? What do you think SGD
I think the
stands
connotation here is that Sergino Dest. But for all I know, maybe how you say some kind of thing about a barber, maybe it starts with a D in Holland. I don't know. Like,
okay. Well, I like just context clues. It says Skullman on a banner sign in the background. I don't know if that's the name of the barber shop. It seems to be some sort of soccer jerseys hanging up back there. I think that's a soccer jersey.
I mean, what I don't think is Sergino Dest is rolling to the barber with his own tarp.
Oh, I think you're wrong. I think you're very wrong.
You think he rolled into that barber with his own tarp? I
think two things are possible. By the way, his middle name is Johnny, so it's Sergino Johnny with a G Dest. Those are his initials. So they match up to said smock as you described it over him. Two things are possible. One, he rolled up with his own smock and said, "Hey, bro, I brought my own. I brought my own smock. Please put this on me."
Maybe germaphobe.
Could be, but he also posted it to his socials, so he's clearly not ashamed of being this guy.
This dude has no shame.
That's what I'm saying. So it's what do you think Occam's razor tells us that he has a germaphobe? He brought his smock because of germs, or because he's just that dude who would bring his own smock?
I think it's a combination of both. I think he is a germaphobe, so he has his own smock. But if I'm going to have my own smock, it might as well be like personalized. Now, what do you think of the Juventus-like look of the smock?
A couple things. The other option is that the smock stays at the barber and that when he
Like my
arrives,
chopsticks at the seafood,
like
at the
your
sushi
chopsticks at the sushi joint, exactly. Like they have, like your mug at the bar that hangs up on the wall. Like this is his personal smock, and when he shows up, my guy busts out the smock for him. You called that Juventus? My brain went Yankees because I'm an American, and my first thought was, but you're right. It does also have Juventus vibes. It has Newcastle vibe. Like there's the black and white pinstripe situation.
I want you to close your eyes, and I'm going to give you a question. I want you to give me the first number that comes into your head. Okay.
All right.
Close your eyes. What does this barber get as a tip?
Oh, geez.
Give me a number.
Tip?
What number came in?
500.
$500.
Yeah.
A $500 tip.
Oh, absolutely.
What does
man.
the cut cost?
That's a good question. I don't know. Okay, maybe it's 200 for the tip,
dude's
500
half
for the
bald.
cut.
He has less to cut.
See, but this is a dude like this is 100. Okay, they're saying $120 haircut.
Yeah.
Okay, this Urias is saying $10 for the tip. That's I tip that. That's what I tip. I tip $10 on a haircut.
I put $10 on a $40 haircut. That's what
okay.
I do.
That's about where I'm at. I think my haircuts are more like 30, so I'm tipping 10 or 30.
Paying $2 to $250 for the cut. That's what I think. If you've got custom smockage, like I think you're paying 3 digits.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Range. Like this is his guy.
The tip for me is a grant. Yeah, 50.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's probably like I mean, we're talking euros here. We're not talking dollars, but yeah, still same vibes. I think Sergino Dest is absolutely the kind of dude. I mean, he's posting images of getting his hair cut on social media. Like this is not just a regular barber. We haven't done the research here, but my guess is that this is a barber to the stars, like a barber to footballers or something.
Has all the personal gravitas and I want to say
magnetism.
Vapidness
of
a Barcelona AC Milan player. But he's a player that never couldn't work out at AC Milan and Barcelona and never got knocked down a peg in terms of his own thought about himself.
You're saying that he carries the energy that he's
got Marcelo Dani Alves energy,
right?
But he's not really Marcelo or Dani Alves level.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, he's
I couldn't even bring out Cambiaso. He would beat Cambiaso out for.
I mean, he's a good player. Let's not say he's not. He's not. No. It's not that he's not a good player.
You have to be elite level to have your own smock.
That's the thing. I don't know where that level is. Like,
how many other things do you see have that are personalized?
How many other things does he have?
How many other just regular things in his life are personalized?
Everything.
That is the gate to his house person and have a monogram on it somewhere.
I feel like Sergino Dest is more like a high-rise dude. I don't think he's an estate guy.
Okay.
But I do think everything he's got, like the guy's got like a messenger bag that cost him a couple grand, and it's definitely monogrammed, 100%.
Like, what other things in his life does?
Like, I don't even think he has dumb money like that either. Like, he wasn't clocking millions at Barca while he was there or at AC Milan alone. And I don't think PSV Eindhoven in that league is paying him crazy. Like, he probably makes very, very good money. Don't get me wrong, but he's not making elite footballer money, right? He's not making elite footballer money.
Oh, well, he may have been because he was on loan with PSV, still making Barcelona money while he was at PSV. Now that he's on
that's
the books,
possible.
I don't know what he's at now.
He clocked 10% of whatever that fee was. What was that fee?
Oh, I don't know.
It was 20 or something like that.
And also that fee was paid knowing he had a bum knee at the time.
Yeah, I love the dude because he is just insane. Like everything he does doesn't make nothing makes sense. His play on the field most of the time doesn't make sense, and then he does stuff like he did in Trinidad, and it's like, wow, definitely we're off. We're out in the middle of nowhere on this.
Dude that has like he does certain things different. Like I bet you he drinks water differently. Like he probably has like some kind of way he does, or way he drinks beer. He holds it different. Like it's kind of like back in the day when people were smoking. Everyone, how you held the cigarette said a lot about you. Like, do you hold it like this? Do you hold it like between your fingers the other way? I'm sure he has this kind of flair in totally routine douchebag ways all through his life.
100%. Yeah. Like, do you think he's kind of Do you think he's the benign kind of douchebag? Like if he's in your crew, like he's annoying and
I think he pulls no chicks.
You think he gets nothing?
I think he gets leftovers.
Wow.
I think because here's the thing. I think
That's an indictment.
I think he would have too much bottle service energy.
Okay.
And it's kind of like off-putting.
Okay.
I bet you Timmy Tillman sweeps in and gets the ladies out.
I think you are
including the wife of the
Malik. You're talking about Malik. I think you are missing the fact that there are plenty of women or men, for that matter. Right? Again, no judgments here.
The way Sergino swings.
Who would be fine with that? Who respond to douchebag energy? Like respond.
It is Europe. It is Europe.
I'm just saying, you'd be surprised. Like, there's somebody for everybody. And I think that money goes a long way. By the way, 21 million euros was the fee.
You don't even have to
Ajax
shower
to Barcelona.
up there, girls.
So he clocked a couple million euros off the transfer. He gets a good salary.
That's mock money, baby.
Yeah. But have you ever run across Sergino Dest's parents or dad? I'm kind of curious about the tree that this apple fell from. Like, I just don't. I don't know.
I bet you his dad. He got his dad a matching smock for his barber.
You think so?
Yeah.
Like, if you name your kid Sergino, what is your name? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Alessandro?
I mean, as somebody who named my kid Tiago, just saying, my name's Jason. I named my kid Tiago, but still, like, what I'm curious about like the family names. And all of that.
I don't know, man. Like he's got a Brazilian energy.
I got it.
Whoa, what's up?
His dad's name is Kenneth, and he was born in Suriname. Kenneth Dest from Suriname.
Wow, it's hard to get Sergino and smockage from that.
More
power to you, self-made man.
If you come from Suriname, so those South America, Suriname is the South American country everybody forgets.
What I'm learning
right?
is that the Ajax pedigree goes hard.
Apparently does. That's a fact. That's absolutely a fact. All right. Is there anything else that we need to cover tonight? I mean, obviously, we're talking Panama. The game against Mexico's next week.
Yeah.
See what Pochettino does in terms of that game.
Yeah, MLS playoff pictures starting to get clear.
Yeah. Can I say this?
By Inter Miami, but
can I say this without you getting mad at me? Can I say something?
Unless it's about LAFC.
No, I think the LA Galaxy are the favorite to win the Western Conference, certainly. Now, you're
Western
first place
Conference,
team.
sure. Yeah, I think LAFC is going to put up a fight. I think I have a hard time thinking that any team that gives up as many goals as the Galaxy do can be a playoff deep run team. That being said, they've hit a lot of milestones this season in terms of types of wins they've gotten, goals scored that have only been done by the 2011 and 2014 teams for the Galaxy, which were top tier championship level MLS Cup winning teams those seasons. So they definitely have I don't think anyone can touch. Well, Miami can touch them for attack, I think, but
for sure.
I don't know as we go through. The hard part is that Lionel Messi got a big rest in the middle of the season. And I would think that the Galaxy would have an advantage there coming late into the season with the Suarez's and Messi's and stuff like that. Ricky Puig's engine in October or November versus Messi's engine had he played a whole season plus Copa America. But the Messi rest factor, that's something that's interesting that I think.
I mean, the final's still one game. Who knows by the time we get there, right? By the time we get there, who knows? Because it's a marathon.
I think Miami's path to the final is way harder than LA's, though. I mean, LA really only has LAFC they have to beat in the West. Miami has to beat Columbus, Cincinnati. Like those are tough teams. I mean, those are not. Sure. I still think Columbus is probably the favorite out of the East, if I'm being honest. I think Columbus had a lot of distractions this season that Miami didn't have.
Yeah,
and I still think that it's Columbus's to win out of the East, but
I mean,
Miami
they were real tough. Columbus looks real tough, and they probably would have been in that fight at the top of the conference if not for the other things that they had on their calendar, right? The things that they accomplished, Leagues Cup going all the way to the final, and then obviously the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Yeah, the LAFC thing out of the West though is definitely a trap kind of thing for the Galaxy right now. They're coming in potentially number one. The LAFC still technically could catch them if LAFC really mess things up. I mean, if Galaxy mess things up down the stretch last game,
they're not going to mess things up.
But that being said, LAFC has some things to pull on that the Galaxy doesn't. Principal among them, players like Giroud, Lloris, guys that have been there, done that at a level that would like what is a playoff level when they're really concentrating and they're like honed in on just a couple of games. Even Carlos Vela, what is his role to be played down the stretch here?
I don't think he's going to be a massive. Well, he could be a late game sub and change a game.
Yeah, but if you're pulling off Giroud, you bring Vela on. That is a hardcore substitution
for sure. It is.
So there's a lot of things about AFC that are interesting to me. And does Bogusz get sacrificed at some point for Vela? I don't know. Like Bogusz has been so good this season.
Been great.
So it's interesting that they almost have it's almost like Steve Cherundolo has a really tough decision to make when it comes to his offense. I don't understand the Vela signage, if I'm being honest with you, unless it was for bench depth. And does Vela want to come in and just be a bench player? Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Carlos Vela's a weirdo. Carlos Vela's a guy who doesn't center the game in his life and never has. For him, sitting around for most of the season and signing just as things get hot is like the perfect thing. Now,
I'll say
we don't have enough fitness to play that down the stretch into the playoffs, do all those things. But then again, Gareth Bale came off the bench and won an MLS Cup for them.
I did say though, when they signed Giroud, I didn't understand that it's not that Giroud's not a good striker, elite striker. When you think about how AFC has always played with Bogusz and Boenga, and with
on the break and all that stuff. Yeah,
it wasn't a target striker kind of system, and that's really what Giroud is. And I think some of the struggles they've had down the stretch right now stem from that identity, trying to figure out what that new identity is now. When you take that, even Kai Kamara, very similar to Giroud, if you're being honest with you, in terms of how they're going to play the game. You know, as like that straight up number 9 kind of style player. That's big not what Vela always was. And they were doing kind of well without Giroud. And I think it's kind of giving them a bit of an identity crisis. Hopefully they can figure it out in every game but against Galaxy.
You don't want to figure it out against your boys. All right. This is where we ask you guys to help support the show. Please go over to patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. Join the community. We've got a great community on the Bestie Slack. We've got bonus shows, the whole library of bonus shows over there at the Patreon. Other things happening as well. I would also like to ask everybody watching this, whether it's live or after the fact or whatever, or listening to the podcast, to go to YouTube and subscribe to Morning Kick Around, which is the new thing I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings with Robert Kerr, where we American focus, but not just American soccer, and having some fun with some different segments and things, breaking down the big stories. Learning about different soccer towns is a thing I want to do. I think we're going to put Ontario, California on the list, or Inland Empire. I guess we could just expand it out. Inland Empire, whatever the heck that is. Talk about that. But anyway, Morning Kick Around. Please support us there. Trying to build up the subscriber base. You know how this goes. Got to build up the subscriber base, Jared.
Do it. Only one way to do it. Be provocative. Do it with your shirt off.
Oh. No, I don't think so. I'm not Sergino Dest. I could do it with a smock that has my initials on it.
I've seen you do some thirst traps. I've seen you do some thirst traps.
I'm past my thirst trap phase. I turned 45 last week.
Do you want to borrow my calves? Do you want to borrow my calves?
Hey, look, I don't need your calves. You have good calves. I don't need your calves. I'm good in other areas. Like I'm
you want to show that off? Are you allowed to on YouTube?
You want me to like flex or something on YouTube? No,
it's called the morning eggplant.
I'm not one of those guys. I'm not going super hardcore on it. But anyway, I'm good to go health wise. Cholesterol's just a tiny bit up, but otherwise I'm pretty good. So anyway, support the Morning Kick Around show and that effort. And what else? I'm sure I'm missing stuff.
I'm sure you
What
are.
am I missing?
That's it. I got a heart out.
Jared's got to go. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for watching. As always, really good to talk to you. See you soon.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Go to DEFCON 2.
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Who asked those questions?
It was there for
here we go. Saucing them up. Hit them. What?
WNBC. WNBC.
The Horror Show.
Michael freaking Orozco Pascal.
What are we doing?
Damn, dog, that's in a post.
Oh, baby.
Jay Rodius.